Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to check out my video. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a mother of two, and one of my children is autistic. I've learned a lot from being his mother, and I want to take some time to talk about effective ways to connect with your autistic child and how to use positive parenting strategies with your child. And the first thing I want to talk about is parenting from a place of radical acceptance. I'm fortunate that when I had my son, I actually knew quite a bit about autism because I've worked with children with disabilities since I was a teenager. So before I had my son, I knew that autism wasn't as horrible as a lot of people portray it to be. I was also aware of how differently it can present from child to child. However, I'm aware that for a lot of parents, autism can be a scary diagnosis because there is so much misinformation and uncertainty out there. And to the parents who are scared, I want to take a moment to say that it is possible to enjoy your time with your child and that it is possible for them to live a happy and fulfilling life. Getting there starts with accepting your child for who they are and letting go of the fantasy child that you had in mind. First, that means letting go of the idea of a cure. Many autistic adults have written about how painful it was for their parents to doggedly pursue one. I also want to caution that there is a lot of snake oil out there and a lot of unsavory people desperate to profit off grieving parents. Be skeptical of anyone who promises a miracle cure, especially as a lot of these so-called cures harm children. Even if they don't cause bodily harm, think of the message that you are sending to your child when you pursue a cure. The message they receive is that they are inadequate and broken. While this may not be the message you intend to send, it is what they hear, and think about it. How would you feel if somebody wanted you to change everything about who you are? Instead of focusing on a cure, focus on helping your child to thrive. Autistic people can be successful, especially when they are raised with people who nurture their strengths and the skills that they do have. Keep in mind, autism straddles the boundary of disability and incredible ability, and you can't have one without the other. Focus more on their abilities and embrace the differences. This means accepting that arm flapping is a means by which autistic people manage their anxiety, and appreciating the purpose of the behavior rather than forcing them to stop. Now, of course, not every behavior is acceptable. It's not okay for our children to hit others or for our children to run into streets, for instance. And there are ways to teach our children not to do that. So focus on behaviors that harm your child or other children, not on behaviors that are different but harmless. When your child is autistic, you are going to have to learn to accept that they will stem, that they'll make less eye contact, that they will have different ways of communicating and different interests and priorities than people who are neurotypical. And all of this is okay. Pursuing a cure ultimately prevents us from accepting our child, and when we accept our child, that is where our child starts to thrive. We also need to let go of the idea of having a normal child. First, what is normal? Second, think about it. Would it really be a good thing if everyone was this so-called normal? Given my background in psychology, studies show that advances in creativity, innovation, and culture happen when we embrace diversity and not conformity. We need to pay more attention to people who think outside the box, and that is exactly what autistic people do. Pursuing a normal child once again conveys to the child we do have that they aren't enough. Think of how damaging this is. It also blinds us to the strengths that our children do have. If you are struggling with accepting your child, first do take some time to grieve and to work through your grief. While you are doing this, start challenging yourself to notice the things you like about your child. Maybe you need to start with one thing a day. Maybe you might be able to do more than that. Start with one, then start to focus on 5, then 10. Keep building. Focus on connecting with your child when you're noticing what you like about them. And you may be surprised to find that this isn't as difficult as you thought it would be. Remember, just like every other child, your autistic child will gain skills as they grow up. They have a different developmental timeline than other children, and unfortunately we don't know what that timeline looks like or ultimately how many skills they will be able to gain. We do know that people grow when we nurture and focus on their strengths rather than rubbing their noses in their weaknesses. Wanting to learn more about nurturing your autistic child? Be sure to subscribe. I'm just getting started and plan to post more videos on every Tuesday. Or you can check out my website to get more information. Thanks. Have a wonderful day.